Alright, so hello everybody, my name is William. Alright, now, I want you to tell you something. Today I'm going to talk about the California Democrats defying Newsom and back the bill in there, and now back the billionaire tax. So California Democrats are now, they're endorsing the billionaire tax. You know, Prop 40. Well, that's read about Prop 40. That's read about why the Democrats are doing this. That's why. So, you know, Xavier Becerra and Gavin Newsom were opposing the billionaire tax. The other California Democrats are endorsing it, and that's just, you know, they're backing it, and that's not good. So, we need to now, us as California Republicans, we need to defeat Prop 40. Anyway, so let's read this. All right. So be prepared for. So California Democrats said opposing the popular billionaire tax could worsen its party already weak credibility. Well, let's read this. So be prepared for California's general election. Sign up for the election newsletter. Get back in the news to develop ballot propositions and races. California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, opposes the billionaire tax on voters' ballot this November. So does Xavier Becerra, the Democrat gubernatorial candidate, while he favored succeed him. That didn't stop for the Democratic Party from nearly endorsing it. Proposition 40 will generate an estimated $100 billion by levying a one-time 5% tax on state more than 200 billionaires. The bulk of receipts would go back to federal tax cuts, expensive low-income program, and Medi-Cal. The idea sparked every sense of healthcare, and Yin proposed it. The late year, and prompting the tech billionaires like Google, co-founder of Sergey Brin, to move his business holding out of state upon billions of dollars, political companies to kill it. After continuous endorsement, among the California Democratic Party's top statewide activists, officials over the weekend is sharing up the latest intra-democratic fight, exposing the deep party divisions over the November's ballot. This is kind of the compliant measure, said Nancy Tung, chair of the San Francisco Democratic Party, who voted against endorsement on Sunday. There is varying disagreements among the Democrats, and Democratic institutions are opposed to each other of the measure. That's why. The party's endorsement of the measure proponents. You can use the signal support to the campaign. They argue the revenue is critical and back the idea to Medicaid, the food assistance, and Republicans approve in Donald Trump's budget and bill last year. And there is a hope of the decision of the 2017 Trump tax cuts and probably benefit of the wealthiest Americans. After Sunday's vote, Dave Reagan, the president of SIU, the Healthcare Workers West, released a statement saying endorsement of puts the idea of California Democrats are not united about the billionaire tax. But they are. But they decided liberal voters to be confused with the party against its highest profile leaders. In addition to Newsom and Becerra, doctors, primary care providers, opposed the billionaire tax, along with the Democratic Align, political powerhouse, and Planned Parenthood. Several labor unions were opposed. The powerful 750,000 members SEIU California last week choose to take the position. Opponents would tax drive wealthy out of the state to drive in both income tax and revenue spending. California's progressive income tax means its revenues particularly dependent on fortunes of the wealthy. Some interest groups are opposed too because the measure primarily dedicates the revenues toward the single state, primarily program healthcare, and the nonpartisan legislative analysis office estimates that you could reduce a long-term state revenue. And it's not stable; it's only temporary. California teachers Association David Goldberg also in an interview last month, and it's going to the public it cuts out receiving resources. And the No campaign is the party of the 2004 opposition to Prop 36. It's the issue of the nonetheless overwhelming of the support of Prop 32 minimum wage hike, which failed. Newsom, Becerra, CTA, California provincial firefighters, the Planned Parenthood, and others are against Prop 40. It's because it's bad of our budget and bad of the economy and bad of our future, and the campaign have ended the statement. National and populist uprising. The still biggest challenge of our base attacks the rich. Alright, yeah. It's popular data within the party, said Chris Hannon, president of the State Building and the Construction Trades Council. He spoke against Prop 40, but before the committee is over the weekend, there's a lot of passion along the populist message. The nationwide movement aggressively attacks the wealth and gains in steam among the progressive Democrats as increasingly worsens. The top 1% of Americans held 22% of the nation's household wealth in 1989, and now they wealth nearly a third. The bond habits declined from 3.5% to 2%. Prop 40 would tax the rich agriculturists around the country and support Representative Ro Khanna and U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders. The nonpartisan Public Policy Institute for California found that in May, 54% of Californians and more than 76% of Democrats surveyed supported the billionaire tax, which at that time had not officially qualified for the ballot. For this part, Newsom has expected to officially campaign on he leave office for balancing, and he's positioned for Prop 40, prohibits sales, federal tax he calls for a national billionaires tax, which I'll get to here. Anyway, they include the reversing the 2017 tax cuts, with a tax created for more than $100 million, of closing loopholes that now wealthy Navarro realize capital gains without paying the income tax. He's paying for the stance of the capturing of the stooping and wealth generated by the artificial intelligence and the issue, appealing among jobs and cure Americans. The No on 40 campaign, the points of alternative. Proposition 3, which make more permanent and existing income tax earners. Consistently over groups and CTA. Prop 3 would revenue overflow of the fund, and the 40 and about 40% would inside dedication, but toward the other needs. It's among the leaders of populist demands of a continuous dynamic push of the party's endorsement. At first, the donors failed the supporters very much at 6% needed endorsement of the 200 state Democratic officials, but those opponents of the formal just a position of the Democratic Committee member David Atkins and Committee Week of the Intiative voters who already believe there are packets of corporations and billionaires. It's kind of weird just to say that as a party say we don't have an opinion on the billionaire tax at the moment, but it said Jen Otoli, and this is a member of the Resolutions Committee. After the attempts of murdering 2 people to change the vote, setting up a final totally mate of the endorsement official. This man said, this is a sort of moving moment. And now, a source said, nearly all Democrats agree that California should pay more in taxes and social services. The majority of did by opponents' arguments that they should approach an issue deliberately. 40 is not perfect, but I don't think anyone will tell you it is. Not Tony said. Maybe it doesn't work, but at the same time, it doesn't just feel like a moment you could be sitting our hands and saying, let's go back and work at it another 2 years. So that's it right there. And now let's read about Gavin Newsom right here. So Gavin Newsom published an act oppose the state billionaire tax and embrace the federal one. Yeah, I'll read about this too. So, government tax the rich. Government is putting in 2028 natural audiences and natural artificial challenges. Governor has 590 taxes for years. Now, be prepared for general election, backing the key opponents of general praises. Governor is in its population era. He stayed over the year and corporate buying of the tax of the family homes and described by President Trump. Last month, he was unable to proposal of the government tax billionaires along the voter ballots. He tried to debate on pitching on the nationwide higher tax on the wealthy. Now, last week he spoke to the crowd in the Latino policymakers meet to characterize the economy in the face of judicial losses. Newsom's appeals upon his leave to office expanded 2008 presidential campaign and was played to society more officials at the company and virtual prominently. O'Bargan is dead. I finished it off. He said weeks in Los Angeles, this concept of Americans, poor our families, working class jobs. You need to wake up. Original reality. The opponents variety of Newsom and Republicans maintains its long-standing relationships against the proposed billionaire tax Prop 40. Its governor, he's cut the measures of liberal, progressive of the income taxes, expanding of service without of the too far into politics and Democrat socialists. He's good proposal and sort of state corporate tax benefits and progressive he is long to scrap. By focusing on driven equality now, Newsom is choosing a popular issue to find his expected 2028 run, and it's not clear whether its folders will buy his solution. Newsom is balancing two measures, said Kevin Leo. The Democratic Democratic strategists who worked on the billionaire Tom Steyer's tax the rich gubernatorial campaign this year, and there's a desire to meet the demands of the Constitution constitutes to be against the billionaires and to address massive wealth inequality and stay in the country from the cold political reality and much of his career pursuit of the future, a nation who built on the eventual ballot on the wealthy folks in Silicon Valley. For tax measures on the California ballot, even adopt some of the measure of the other states. Newsom is walking fine line back home. Focus on the California's billionaire tax proposal, and then starting the votable tax on the ballot. And Proposition 3, sponsored by California Teachers Association, also a tax the rich. The permits the higher of the tax rates of producing earners. The money goes of the 40% which pays of schools. Voters have rates of probably 12 of the 2012 behind of the Governor Jerry Brown and extended them again in 2016. They will expire as planned in 2030, and the state stands of loose between $5 and $15 billion a year in revenue. Okay, the European show is a measure of popular CTA. President David Goldberg acknowledged that the tricky campaign in favor of another tax on the ballot. Union opposes the billionaire tax because it would not send the same proportion to tax of schools instead of prioritizing health care. Voters will be asked to weigh on three tax rate ballot measures: the two back of the billionaires, the sign undercut the billionaire tax, and then buy the anti-tax advocacy group, and would make it harder for cities to raise local taxes. It would be hard when you bunch of things on the ballot. Goldberg said it's going to mean we're going to make it hard to go out there in case of this. Whether as publication of Prop 40 or hinder the support of Prop 3, Newsom would just say that's not the case. It's an interesting question. How Newsom wants to be seen. For years, Newsom has defended California on Fox News and social media against the national reputation over tax, and are arguing of income families and pay more in states like Florida and Texas. And the basis of study from the meaning of the taxation of the economic policy that found in Florida and Texas rely on heavy on the state taxes, and it is of the greatest of the state of the earnings of the wilderness. Now, the states do not tax personal income. How the low-income workers tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California. Newsom said California Governor Ron DeSantis and during the 2020 debate hosted Fox's Sean Hannity. Critics say the arguments don't count the lower costs of goods property in the other states. California is a high-tech state, said Gerard Walczak, the senior of the few of the Lenient Tax Foundation. A state like California can get away of the higher rates of some other taxes, to other states, because the state has too much to offer. It doesn't mean there is a tipping point. Now, hearing the end of this term, Newsom is taunting a progressive California state system that made possible universal school meals and subsidized child care. At the same time, Newsom often chides more left-wing colleagues in the legislature not to be prolificate of the public spending. He taunts he's never raised taxes is 8 years as governor, and is critical of the over limiting. Businesses tax deductions or low signed the month of raising tax of health insurance plans. While Democratic lawmakers has pushed a new revenue of the budget of the last 3 years, he quickly grashed a tea. And among the tax rates in the United States, America has winners, and among the tax rates according to Texas as in 2004, we have to live along with our means. This year, some Democrats insisted of the proposed tax corporations would earn health care. Newsom will agree that state only study out the idea. He's never begged this drum. Okay. He's taking the same stance of the state billionaire tax and of the Democratic alliance like Planned Parenthood. He argues that billionaires can easily assist their state. Since Google co-founder Sergey Brin has done of their homes and businesses, already showing polls that California support the measure. And then Newsom pressured ICU care of her workers of exchange of concessions, but they didn't succeed of the federal billionaires tax, taking a passage to aggressive Elizabeth Warren. And now he's calling for a maximum tax rate anyone for more than $100 million, doing the corporate tax cuts that President Trump progressed around the 2017 inheritance taxes and closing loopholes, and by the wealthy borrow the capital gains without paying income taxes. Without getting into details, supports of the using AI derivative wealth to displace workers. Okay. The second Republican strategist, Newsom has ended a permanent campaign. He's also banging his drum, and he's doing up the big tax rate. The world jitsu. He has to do to oppose the billionaire tax in his state and supported reverently of the take around the soapbox at the Iowa State Fair. For its execution by AI, the staring of the wealth of the attacks on the right and eager of the stool of the Democrats and policies to communism. Both Democrats are both sides of the tax hikes for policy, but Newsom just wants to take your money because he wants to take your money. Republican National Committee for spokesperson Nicholas Post emailed a statement criticizing Newsom as trying to both raise and what's up and intimidate Democrats. But the political strategists agreed that framing tax proposals respond to the anxiety of feeling across an ideological spectrum. A wealth tax is more pedantic of falling along ideological lines. Like I said, if we're talking about a broad potential change, it's more of wealth and institution, and it shows that it's going to touch every single person. More than half of the Americans were over about technology is only given household jobless, and I'm going up the seats workers coming into service and services of physical economy at least. More meanwhile of the mega office of AI companies, OpenAI, were then expected to turbocharge already equal distribution of wealth. The tip said the country near 60% of the wealth, and Bond have its own just 2.5%. Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, known as moderate Democrat, is flowing more aggressive than the technology ways of the run president of open to basic income payments to space workers. Progressive started of their U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders proposing national sovereign of the wealth paid of the 50% tax at AI companies they're going to pay Americans, making essential of the part owner of AI. Even Vice President J.D. Vance is concerning the issue, telling the Progressive last month because concerned the guys not miss the opponent of the social harmony that comes with increasing equality. If you make rich people way richer, in cigarette forms, he said, that's because the consequence because when the consequences you see from AI, and it is like that Trump supported the Sanders idea that the president also has developed a cozy ties he met leaders during his second term. Many of the progressive applause the new summits for new. Governor Gonzalez, leader of the California Labor Federation, she placed on the driven equality. The needs are group of the workplace is the best replacement for workers. Newsom has regulated aggressive regulation bans on the technology. The labor leaders of the presidential primary of the earlier Gonzalez of the unions could of the support of Newsom does not need the use of technology. If not to say, I feel the pain, Gonzalez said, but we don't think a case of job loss is inevitable. Alright, so that's what I'm trying to say is. Anyway, what's the thing you can do? Well, the best thing you can do is to, you know, right here, is to defeat Prop 40. Just vote no on Prop 40. That's all we can do anyway. Oh, and also, there is a federal wealth tax bill called the Ultra Millionaire Tax Act. Yeah, please call your local residents and please vote no, and please ask for a no vote on this federal bill, please. We don't want that. Anyway, just please tell them to vote no on this. We don't want this anyway. We don't want a federal wealth tax bill. You know, that's why. So ask for a no vote on this unconstitutional federal bill. And also and yes, please vote no on Prop 40 because it's a very unconstitutional proposition anyway. We don't want Prop 40 to pass. You know, that's why. I'll talk about Measure A in a different video anyway. But yeah. And there might be another federal, and there might be another federal tax bill because the guy would do some embracing a federal billionaire tax. So keep an eye on that anyway. Oh yeah, and please go back to internetbadbills.com and please ask for no vote on these bad bills to your local representatives. Anyway. And yeah, please watch my How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble and BitChute. Or Rumble or BitChute, anyway. Oh yeah, and please vote no on Measurement A as well. I didn't think, yeah. I found out Carter Mile is announcing a new campaign to defeat this measurement here. But anyway. And you have to go right now, but thank you for watching this video. And if there's anything else we want to talk about, let me know in the comments below. I have to go right now, but thank you for watching this video. We just goodbye. Adios and Zaijian.